Alright, hope everybody's doing well. Took an unexpected trip into town because I had temporarily forgotten that Sunday is a holiday. So I'm not heading off to Goodwill on Sunday, so I decided, you know what, today is a perfect day because it's nice and quiet here, and I'm just going to do it a few days early. So I also wanted to go check out the state surplus because I have not been there since everything happened a few years ago. And I needed binders, and that's what this picture is on the screen here, the free binders. There's all kinds of different binders, all different qualities, that sort of thing. You just have to just dig, and there's 2 big bins of it, and I got about 5 or 6 binders. I didn't get a whole lot of binders, but I don't need a lot of binders right at the moment. I needed to replace a couple of, bad ones that are falling apart, and that's pretty much what I went there for. Before I get too far into it, I had one of the most delicious drinks you will ever drink, and this is the V8 Plus Energy Pomegranate Blueberry. Very, very delicious. These were 50 cents a piece at the grocery outlet. I've had these before. I have not had them in about a year. Oh my gosh, they're so addictive. I really love those. But I will grab some more of them. I told the clerk, I said, I can't remember if they were the most delicious thing I ever had or the worst thing I ever had. So I only grabbed one of them. It's like drinking a smoothie. It's really good. It is really, really good. So anyway, back to my story here very quickly. So I did not remember a lot of furniture being before, I had the last time I had been there, but now they brought back lots of furniture. They had all different kinds of things. They had computer chairs and solid chairs starting at $1. And then the prices get cheaper the longer they have them. And there's just tables that are $1. You would not believe, chairs and tables for $1 a piece. Really awesome. And I got a really awesome rolling cart. It's kind of like a library cart. They're kind of, I don't know if they're handmade or what. They're made out of wood, but what really sold me is they were fairly small. And they also had really, really good rolling wheels. And what also sold me is they were $5 a piece. The other thing was kind of funny about it, it had the tag of odor on it. So what's odor? I mean, it really smelled on my way there. That was probably some sort of pot dispensary on the way there, or some sort of sewer. I don't know. It really was stinky on the trip there. It's down some sort of industrial driveway. I think UPS is right next door to that state surplus. So if you're ever in the city of Salem, you can go to the state surplus. And those carts were $5. And ODOR is the Oregon Department of Revenue. So they used them to move files back and forth and that sort of thing. So very, very cool to have one of those. I'll leave the tag on it, but I'll clean the cart up. And I just, like I said, wanted some sort of library type of cart. I'll try to show pictures of it. It's kind of still in the car right now. So I got that and a whole bunch of binders here. I won't necessarily bore you with the binders, but I'll just show you the kind of the varying qualities. There's a black binder that had some sort of label on it, which I've since removed. And there had something else there probably at one point. There's no outside cover on there, but I don't need every one of those to have those. There was a really nice dinky skinny binder with super high quality. Some of these are still wet because it was pouring rain, but there's one with the shiny cover on it where you can put pictures on the front and back. And then I have several of these binders. I like these because they match kind of. So there's this one here, tan, kind of like a dirty tan or whatever it is. I'm not really sure what kind of binder that is. But again, always like to use alcohol cleanies because you don't know where they have been. And then this one says soil bioengineering on there, so I'll remove that off of there. I don't really particularly care. I'm not, particular when binders are $0. And you're allowed to take whatever you want because they will just get more of them and more of them and more of them. The more of the paper they don't need. So, and I got one more binder here. I think probably my Gary Lucas collection will be going into that one because my binder needs to be replaced. It was actually literally crumbling out the edges there, so that needs to be thrown away. So I got that taken care of. Very, very timely and efficient manner. I was the only person shopping there. I think I saw somebody left buying nothing. But it's amazing how you can find furniture between $1 and $5 and no one seems to care. There was some really high quality end tables. Very, very solid built. All of this stuff is very solid. So if you don't have the vehicle for it, then you really can't buy very much. My car is just on the verge of buying absolutely nothing because the way the back doors, it was slant in, and you just was like, oh my gosh. So you got to measure everything if you have a small car. But that being said, it was a very, very good value there. So then I head off to the bins, and I just game on. It was just crazyville there, but there was tons and tons of things that I could theoretically grab, and I only grabbed half of it. So let's get with it here. There's one thing I will not show. I found somebody's military dog tags, and the idea is if you find those, try to find out who they belong to and give them back to them if you can. If you can't, just throw it in your collection and deal with it later. That's pretty much how I stay. There were tons of these, but I did not know that until I saw somebody heaping them into their cart. But I found one, and this is just absolutely astounding here. This is a Pepsi car window, Pepsi Cola, and the choice of a new generation of registered trademarks of PepsiCo Incorporated. I mean, I know these are old because they have the choice of a new generation. That's about the time Michael J. Fox was promoting Pepsi and Back to the Future. Amazing. So these probably date to like the late 90s. Maybe the late 80s, maybe to the mid 90s. I'm sorry, again, the late 80s to the mid 80s, somewhere in the 80s. I'm pretty sure but they were all brand new, unused. So that was really cool to find that one there. And of course, when you're at the bins, you want to try to make your purchases count. So I buy things like napkins. I know they're a little bit on the expensive side at this bin, but they were less than $1 and it would cost me more than that. No, it's not my happy first birthday. But again, when you need napkins and you're just going to throw them away, just wipe on whatever. You can use them to clean up spills or what have you. We don't need to go into that there. There was a bunch of pizza cutters that somebody originally had $3 for. I think these were Targets. And, to capitalize on the Stranger Things here. And there's a cassette. There's a cassette pizza cutter. There was some bicycle ones, but I didn't really like those, so I left those. Somebody had ripped one out of the package. Buy things in the package if you can, because if you decide you don't want it, then you have a nice Christmas or birthday or holiday gift for somebody. So that is kind of amusing and fun. And I didn't really need a pizza cutter, but I kind of did at the same time. And what better to have one that looks like a cassette tape? So there is that. I don't fit this, but I just thought this was the coolest thing ever. I found a vintage 1980s Super Mario Brothers belt, 80s or early 90s. I think it's got a copyright of 1988 or 89 on there. So very cool. It would have fit probably like an 8-year-old kid there maybe, but I just had to grab it because somebody would put that in their Mario collection. And there's it's me, a Mario. And so that is really cool to have that one, vintage 1980s. And it's made in Taiwan, so that that's older, because you don't see that Taiwan label very often. I found this in the throwbacks. There was a lot of interesting throwbacks because, again, people don't always have the amount of weight that requires the discount price. And somebody threw this back here. It says it's a medium, but who in the heck even knows? But this is the Star Wars Imperial March. Dun 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 dun. You know that thing. I'm not very good at that, so that is the best I can do for that one. And then we got a couple other things here. I grabbed this old Gary Patterson cartoonist poster here. Still brand new in the plastic. I might try to frame this at some point. It's called Finishing. So Finishing, it's like finishing the race, Gary Patterson. So I thought that was kind of cool. The guy just kind of barely by a nose. So I thought that was pretty cool, Gary Patterson. And it talks about Mr. Patterson on the back there. So you can tell that's very, very 1980s. Since 1972, he's been doing a popular sports artist. And then it was $1.99 at one point at the Goodwill main store. And if I had seen it there, I might have grabbed it, especially if it was a discount day. But I don't think it ever made to the discount day. So I'm going to try to find some sort of aluminum frame, something that would have been appropriate for the time period. Because I like to put, 80s frame and 80s stuff and 70s frame and set, that sort of thing. And then I got some sort of stupid skull pin. I don't even know why I grabbed it. But, if you went to go buy that, it might be $3 or $4 or $5. Nothing special there. And then we got a couple of records here. There was tons and tons of records all over. There was a Wes Montgomery record on Verve, maybe, that I threw back. I did not have that one. But I just threw it back because $1.29 a piece and your bill's starting to creep up. I hadn't planned to spend as much money as I did because I went to the binder store or the binder place and ended up buying a $5 item. These are not all big expenditures. But I also cut back on buying stuff because I don't physically have the room for everything. But I got Corey Hart, First Offense, and a lot of people don't not recognize Corey Hart at the first, and that's why he was kind of left back there. But if they had realized it was Sunglasses at Night, the first song there, that would have been something that somebody grabbed. But, again, if it's not Super Mint, Beth Klein has written her name on there, there is probably no way to clean that off of there. I am not exactly sure. If you have any idea, this is not a glossy cover. It's kind of like a satin, semi-gloss type of thing, matte deal there. So that is that one there. But it's in really good condition. And then I got this 12-inch single, which is not in super great condition, but it's not so bad that you can't play it. And this is Genesis Land of Confusion. I thought that was cool to grab that one, so that's really pretty neat. None of these records have any value. Maybe the Corey Hart might be worth about $5 to $10. Depending on what they want their discogs on it. It just takes one song like that. Everybody knows Sunglasses at Night because you keep hearing that in different commercials, and people keep saying, I wear my sunglasses, and or I've got my sunglasses, and then they don't finish. They just use it for whatever they're saying. So that's pretty much what the bins provided me for around $10 and a few odd cents after that. That was really good, And I did not show you everything yet. So you think that's pretty good for $10? Well, I got some Scout books, and I think they got me kids' book price, so that was very nice of him. I kind of pleaded. My case, these are all kids' Scout books, so that's what I got. And there were just probably about 15, 20 Scout books there, and I had to leave most of them there. It just gets too expensive, and I don't have a lot of space for my Scout books. I showed you the shelf, I think, one time, and I have only room for a few more here. But this is Roy Blakely's Funny Bone Hike by Percy Keast Fitzhugh. I think this is from 1923 or 28. I looked at it recently. I just don't really remember there. I don't think there were any photographs in there, but no, they're not. There's no photographs or pictures in here as far as I can tell. But it had the dust jacket, and that's why I wanted it. Then we have 13 Years of Scout Adventure by Stuart Walsh. I don't think he could have probably should have done as a hardback, but a hardback, so kids books are 50 cents and hardbacks are like $2.79 for hardbacks. But if you can cajole them into kids book price, they will give that to you if you have a legitimate reason there, and they don't want to hold up the line. So again, this has got some photographs in here of some guy's Scout adventure there. So that is pretty neat to have that one there. There's some more pictures in here, but they're really hard to get to because, of course, the pages are all jagged, and we'll just try to get to this. See, there's another photograph there, so that's really pretty cool there, the old vintage Scouts there. And I think this is from the 1920s as well. We've got two Scout handbooks here, the Cub Master's Handbook for Boy Scouts of America. That's more of an adult Cub Master, so that should have probably been an adult book. I don't know. If you just get the right person there, otherwise you spend a lot more money, and I probably would have bought all these. It'd probably been closer to $20. And a Manual of Leadership of Boy Scouts of America, Handbook for Scoutmasters. I found a bunch of other books that I had duplicated, and so I gave them off to a friend of mine. This is it says volume 1, so I don't know if there's any other volumes of this here, but this is from the 1930s or 40s, and yeah, it's from 1943, but it was copyright 1938, so that is kind of an old one there. That is what I have for today. Sorry for the long video here, but I had not planned on making a video because I just went in to get some free binders, and that's what the picture is there. That's just only some of them there. And then I basically, excuse me, it's been a long day. Not really, but and I just went to the bins, but I had paid cash, and it just, one of those things, Again, I'm being cheap, but, I have a lot of stuff here, and I can't be buying a lot of things. So I have to put back, a lot of things that I don't need. But the Scout books, I picked out what I thought were the best ones for my collection. I did not have a single book, except for maybe two that I gave my friend. I don't know if I had those exact editions, but most of them were these storybooks. Like the one I showed you, with the dust jacket, this one here. Most of them were storybooks, and I did not necessarily want to have a bunch of those. But again, this one had the cover on it, so I had to grab that one. Somebody's nice Scout collection that was being all parceled out, and there were more records that I couldn't get to either. So again, that's what I have for you. I try to provide different stuff here using the different cameras. Not super easy because the sound is really muffled on here, but what can you do when your other camera is, it's not really acting up, but the battery just needs to be charged all the time. So thank you for watching. Alright, as promised, here is the cart that I was talking about. This was only $5, and it's got really good, decent wheels on here. Very well built cart here. It looks like, I think this is wood. I think that's wood, and the bottom was wood there, and then some sort of laminate type of thing here, and a nice, a solid oak frame or something on the top there. That'll clean up very, very nicely there, and I put some books in there. I'm going to use this for media and stuff like that. So I think it's kind of a neat looking library type cart here. But it's interesting, it has the Oregon Department of Revenue sticker on there. So I'm going to clean off some of these other gross stickers on there, and of course I'll have to be very, very careful when I get that one off there because I don't want it to damage the finish. But really, really cool for $5. I couldn't beat that. I'm not going to buy more of them. But, there were just a whole bunch of them for $5. Eventually, they'll probably get down to $1 a piece. But anyway, that is really cool to have for my collection. I always wanted kind of some sort of library type cart there. And I think it's just funny because it came from the tax department. So that's pretty funny there. I don't know if they counted for that or not, but anyway, that's what I have for this afternoon, this evening, whatever your current life situation is, and thank you for watching.
Somebody have any change?
Pepsi, the choice of a new generation.